It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how is it going? And welcome to the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. It is Friday, July 12th, and so happy for you joining us. We are ready to start another day together with the Lord. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So today we have an exciting podcast for you. We have Until the End with Daniel Baker, the Wednesday Message Word Study, and of course commentaries, updates, and news on what is happening around the world in this history today. Whew. All right, everyone, how are you doing? And yes, it is Friday. It is the weekend. Yeah, I'm so happy the weekend is here. Another week has basically gone by. Don't forget, every Thursday is question and answer, so get those questions ready. Send them to me whenever you can. And if you haven't yet, leave a like and comment to build our community. I am just super happy for everyone joining us every weekday on the Morning Star Drive, so let's get up and support each other each and every day. This week's Sunday message title is Grace and Truth. Okay. The weekend is upon us. It is already here, and I know that my weeks are going to become super crazy busy, like super crazy busy, beyond super crazy busy, because today be picking up my friend from Australia from the airport. We're gonna hang out just for one day, and then starting from Monday, it has been confirmed my friend and her parents are coming to Malaysia to, I guess she just stepped down from head leading. Oh, not stepped down. She stepped down from head leading, waiting for her next assignment. She's been head leading for 4 years, I believe, already. So she's got this small break, and she decided to come. She was choosing between Taiwan and Malaysia, and she decided Malaysia. I'm really happy because a really, really good friend of mine. I've known her for 21 years already. And we are the same age too. She's been a great supporting friend. We worked together in the Lord's Church when it first started and stuff like that too. But yeah, it's going to be a while because it's going to be Monday to Thursday. It's going to be cracked. I'm going to be with my friends from Korea with their parents. And then Friday, Saturday is going to be with the Taiwanese. Saturday and Sunday, I will... 21, 22. Wait. Friday, Saturdays, 20th, 19th, and 20th. And then Sunday, Monday, I will be free, thank God. And then starting from Tuesday to Thursday, I will be busy again as some more friends come from Korea again too. So it is pretty crazy. Here's one thing I've been thinking about. I want you guys to kind of respond on this one too. I want to hear what you think about this, okay? So... sometimes I joke around and say, ooh, it is the last days of this week. Or, you know what I mean? And, I'm like, oh, it's the last days of this week. I hope everyone spends this weekend really well. But it's really interesting because when I think of the term like last days, it kind of hit me like, this is something that we teach in the Bible study about the last days. And when I was saying that, oh, we've reached the last days of this week, I start to really think about the concept of last days. Because, Sunsim always tells us to miniaturize it or magnify it. And when we think of the last days, we think of the last days of the time period. We think of our last days here on earth. But when you miniaturize it, we can miniaturize it into a day or even a week, right? And the interesting thing is, do we have the attitude of the last days when it comes to a day or a week? Do we really believe it's the end, right? And not in terms of the end that we believed in the past, like the end, it's finally over, it's the final ending. It's more of, do we think of it in the same way that we teach it? So think about this. When someone is about to die, it's their last days. What is their attitude, okay? And I would say there's two things that happen. When you're getting closer to the end of your life, you start thinking about what you really want to do, the things that you never got a chance to do. It's kind of like a bucket list, right? You have a bucket list. There's things you want to check off, and you want to make sure you get these things done before your life is finally over, and you know it's coming to an end too, right? However, the closer and closer it gets to the end, as it gets really close, you start to become very thoughtful and you make sure that everything meaningful is taken care of. Like spending time with the people that you should, the people that you love so much. And, making sure that the people that you love are taken care of. And it's like, yeah, we have those two different types of thoughts that come into our head. And when I thought about that, I was thinking, shouldn't this also be the way how we treat the end of each day and the end of each week, right? Like when the weekend is about to come, we have worked all week. So like half a Friday and Saturday, it's kind of like, what are the things that I really want to do? What's my bucket list? I want to do this week. What do I want to do to relax? What do I want to do to just enjoy my time? And it's kind of like in the end of your life, you have retirement. Retirement is not working, just enjoying your time. However, when the final day before the weekend comes, and I would say it's probably going to be a Sunday, even though it's the beginning, it's the end of the week and the starting at the same time. And when that final day of Sunday comes, we want to spend it properly. And a lot of people who are on their deathbed, knowing that they're going to die anytime, they'll do the repentance. They'll try to think about all the things, like talking to God and praying to God, maybe take on a religion if they never did before, believing in Jesus even though they never did their entire life, thinking about the things that they regretted and stuff too. And, I think that we do need to take this up in some way when we finish each day, when we finish each week. And it made me think to myself is, am I ending each day meaningfully or even ending each week meaningfully? Do I really end the day properly? For instance, we all have our work time. So when we start to work, we're working and we can't wait to get off of work. And when we get off of work, we get to go home, we get to eat, we get to relax, right? We take that break and do the things that we want to do for that day. And then, of course, it gets to the very end of the day before we sleep. And I think we're very good at the first part of doing the things we really want to do after working all day. But then, do we end the day well where there is that great talk with God? Praying, wrapping up the day well. Or do we end it not with God, but end it with a friend or maybe someone from your family or maybe just being on your phone and then just falling asleep? Do we end the day well? Do we end the week well? Talking to God, get the start of the week going, It was really interesting to think about it in this way, in the way that we teach the concept of last days. And we teach this and we know this all the time, that we understand that nothing ends, but everything is an ending of one thing, but the start of another. We teach that we do have to end well. We teach that even if life continues, there is no final ending, right? God wants us to end what is wicked and evil and finish righteous and strong. And it made me think a lot more deeply about how I want to end my days and my weeks, And, how should we deliberately plan the ending of our day and the ending of our week, our spiritual time, our time of faith? I was talking about this week about happiness and our happiness and what are the 4 things that we need to focus on deliberately, which was faith, friends, family, and work for others. And I thought to myself, are we deliberate in this? How should we deliberately plan our spiritual time of faith beyond what is required? And I know that living in the world, in the way the world works, is definitely not the solution, because it's an empty and meaningless place where boredom sets in, and the world causes us to lack depth and meaning. And we end up doing things that don't even last. So like that was one of the things that I was thinking about, because sometimes I do say, oh, it is the last days. It is the last days, the end of the month, the end of the week, whatever it is, right? And it really made me to start to think a lot more deeply about that too. And that even brings me to the poll. The poll, we just started the poll the day before. Oh, it's really interesting when you look at the numbers. How many people do not love themselves enough is 70%. And what's even more interesting is 11% didn't even know about this concept. So that's 81% right there. So 4 out of 5 people, right, are in this type of situation. And when I looked at the stats of, just for us over here, the really interesting thing is those that love themselves enough was only 17%. So when you look at those, even if people are loving them, giving themselves self-love, it's like altogether 83% are not. 83%. And I thought to myself that, have you ever thought to yourself, like, if you think about this, because, there's a lot of different reasons why we are unhappy or we're not feeling fulfilled and such. And I thought to myself, when we are in that state, it may not even be about faith. It may not even be about God. It may just be about the love that we receive, the self-love. Because in our lives, we are taught to give away so much love, but sometimes we're not receiving enough. And getting that love from ourselves is a guarantee. Getting love from other people is not. Getting love from God is a guarantee. Getting love from yourself is a guarantee, but from others, we're not. And sometimes I think maybe we're too focused on getting that love from other people. And we can't expect others to pamper us or others to give us a break. But sometimes it's us that need to do it. We need to take that break. We need to pamper ourselves instead. But, I'm not sure that most people in Providence are taught or understand the concept of self-love. Like even for me, I never really looked at self-love deliberately, like it's something I consciously need to do or plan. I just realized more about this after conversations with, the guys during the Dilo trip, right? And I think it's really important for us to think about this too. And what's even more interesting? While I was preparing this podcast, I out of nowhere, my cousin, like a distant cousin, like second cousin, I think, texted me out of nowhere. Never really talked to this cousin. I rarely meet this cousin too. But this person just said, I was thinking about you, just want to check, see how you're doing. And this cousin is very faithful, like good in faith and stuff. And, I'm going to be honest with you. The first thought I had to myself was, this person never contacts me. This must be about Providence. Like this person wants to check up on me. They probably saw Netflix. They probably saw something in the news and they want to check on me and to see how I'm doing because of Providence. Like this is what I was thinking. And I was very cautious talking, like texting with my cousin. I was like, okay, like when you're like cautious, like, all right. And in your head, you're like, all right, so when are they going to bring it up kind of thing, right? And lo and behold, they never brought up Providence, but they're like, how is your spiritual life? And I was like, ooh, this is where she's going to hit me with it, right? This is where she's going to talk to me about Providence, stuff like that too. And in the end, we just had a great conversation about God. That was it. Like part of our conversation is sometimes we just got to let go and allow God to work. And, sometimes it's going to be hard to trust in God in that area. And I know it sounds like super Christian-y, but it was actually something that was comforting to me. It really was. We were just talking about God and how good God has been to us and trying to break free from spiritual stagnancy, right? Just being stagnant and not growing, learning to trust in God. And one thing that came out of my mouth, which was very interesting, because as we're talking, this is just a text message too. I just said, I was like, you know what? I don't feel like I'm really pulling my weight in the relationship with God? And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, in a relationship, there's two sides. There's two sides of relationship, and I really feel that I should be doing more. Like, how frustrating would it be in a relationship that you're doing all the major work and your partner is doing nothing much? Wouldn't that be frustrating? And it's not the fact that you're doing more, because you're gladly doing more because you love this person. But it's the feeling that you care more about the relationship than your partner is the thing that would bother us the most, wouldn't it? And I was like, yeah, I really feel like that with God, that I'm not really pulling my weight. And at one point during the conversation, I was just thankful that my cousin contacted me. And at that point, even though I was thankful that my cousin contacted me, I was sure that this was God, that this was God talking to me through my cousin. And like I said, I was, in the beginning, very apprehensive, very cautious, right? Maybe they're going to talk about providence, And, like I said, once my cousin said, how was your spiritual life? I was like, here we go. She's going to bring up providence, going to bring up all these other different things. But it never went there, not even close to it. It was just a conversation about life and faith. And this cousin was just, I'm not even close to them, just trying to understand what I'm going through. And I was like, God, wow, like this is really you. You're checking up on me and you want to see how I'm really doing. And you're working through one of the most unlikely people in my life. And after that conversation, I was just so thankful to God. I just prayed and I was moved in my heart. I was like, God, thank you. And, sometimes we learn through the Bible studies and we learn through, we learn through the Word that God is working through people around us, even people we never expect, even our enemies. And sometimes we forget while being in providence that a lot of times we think that God's only going to work through providence people, but this includes people outside of providence. And one thing I found that was really inspiring and moving about this cousin was just listening. And she would throw in some points, but the purpose was to try to understand what I was feeling. She never gave an answer. She never said, maybe it's because this, maybe it's because of this. It was all questions like, oh, what does that mean? Oh, yeah, I get that point. Yeah, I get that too. Oh, I'm kind of going through this too. And it was more of just giving their insight of what they went through and wondering if that is similar to what I'm going through, right? Just trying to figure out how I feel more than trying to give an answer. And it was a really interesting conversation because the first half of the conversation, I'm just waiting for the bomb to drop or for them to say something's wrong or give me an answer, but it never happened. And I even had the thought at one point, and this is probably kind of maybe more of pride or arrogance, that I was like, in my head, I was like, come on, I'm a bride and I'm higher than a child of God. But when I kind of let those thoughts go, it was just an enjoyable conversation. It was really, really insightful and something I was like, yeah, as people of faith, we have so much more in common than not. And I think one of the hard parts being in providence is, not the hard part being in providence, one of the hard parts about having a conversation sometimes in providence is we have so many answers from something. Like, we have the answer. That's the biggest difference, is we have the answers. And when we talk with each other, we try to give those answers to help each other. But I also realize that sometimes it's not about the answer. It's just about like the sharing, the communion, talking with each other, sharing what's happening in your mind. And this is what allows us to be more human. And what does that mean is sometimes when it's more about being perfect, it's more about getting the answers, it becomes more robotic. Oh, you just need to do this. Oh, you just need to do this. And I would say that this is probably something common in Providence too. Sometimes we get trapped in that mindset that we need to be so perfect in Providence. Like we got to be perfect. And that feeling of wanting to be perfect sometimes overtakes or overwhelms the need to love and to be loved. Like, I'm not saying we shouldn't strive for perfection, but I believe it should not overwhelm the need to love and to be loved. And yeah, I'm so thankful that this conversation was done on text, because it's all recorded. And like the last thing that my cousin said to me, and just before she left, was keep the communication open with God. And that for me was really inspiring. Like God spoke to me. And it was just really an interesting experience, because it was so different than what I thought. You know what I mean? It's so off from what I was thinking was going to happen. And it became just a very inspiring and moving conversation. And I just, at the end of it, I couldn't help but just pray. And like, God, thank you. Like, I am so thankful that you checked up on me. I am so thankful that I had this conversation with my cousin. And what makes me think even more, more moved by this, is that it was through someone that I'm not even that close with, but they were just inspired to text me out of nowhere. And, you know, sometimes, like I said, we'll have that very cautious and like, wait, why are you trying to contact me? Why are you trying to do this kind of thing? And our defenses are all up, and we're like, okay, I got to get ready for the fight. We're going to fight pretty soon. I got all the answers in my head, you know? But at the end of it, it was just like, wow, it's just I have no reason to think why this person would try to say something like, or come against me or say something about like, I have no reason to think that way. It's just sometimes we're all wound up, and we just got to understand that, you know, God is going to take care of us. And sometimes in order for us to really be able to put our defenses down, we need to, you know, God needs to bring someone into our life that's I don't know what the word is. I don't know. Like someone that is so outside of the people that we know that at the end of the conversation, you're like, okay, that's got to be God. She knows nothing about my life. She has no idea what I'm going through. And yet she is able to contact me out of nowhere. And I think this is actually the first time she has ever done it. And yeah, I'm just thankful to God for that conversation. And I think all of us should be kind of keep our eyes and our hearts open to how God is working and how God is really checking up on us and like showing that love in these different ways that we would never expect. So yeah, for me, I was grateful. I was thankful. And yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I feel so loved because of this conversation. And I'm telling you, this happened right before I started recording. Like right before I had this conversation, I was like, wow, this is something that I really wanted to testify about, that God was really checking up on me and loving me too. But either way, So yeah, that's the one thing, the big thing I wanted to share. Like I didn't even know, I wasn't even preparing to talk about this conversation that I had with my cousin, because it happened right before, and I'm like, you know what? This is something that's so amazing that just happened, and how much God is working with me, and that is something that like I want to share with you guys. If you guys have any stories like that too, these unexpected things that happen, and you just realize, man, it's God. Like God is working with me, God is helping me and such. Let me know. I'd love to hear what's going on in your life too. Okay, so yeah, the weekend is upon us. A lot of different things to think about, a lot of different things to do. But I hope that you guys will always be ready, prepare yourselves. And if anything, I think the one thing I did want to make sure that all of us could think about is, how are we ending our days, and how are we ending our months? I'm sorry, our weeks. And the weekend is here. We're gonna have that time to, strike off that bucket list for like the Saturday. But then, how are we going to end it? How properly are we going to end the week and start a new one? Okay, so yeah, we do have the Wednesday message word study. We will get into that in the second segment. But before we get into it, let's get into the first music break of word study. Yes, another wonderful message, a follow-up message to this week's Sunday message, exact same title, Grace and Truth. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the scripture too. The scripture was Psalm chapter 37, 18 through 20. It says, the blameless spend their days under the Lord's care, and their inheritance will endure forever. In times of disaster, they will not wither. In days of famine, they will enjoy plenty. But the wicked will perish. Though the Lord's enemies are like the flowers of the field, they will be consumed. They will go up in smoke. Amen. What a great scripture. But yeah, it's a follow-up message to the Sunday message. I hope that you guys really enjoyed it too. And it's something that when you look at the Sunday message, it was all about grace. Is that something that God gives to us? And if we receive grace, then we must live a life of must live a life of grace, right? That's like what we need to do. So I hope that all of us were able to receive the Wednesday message really well also. So the first thing that we talked about was about the first thing in the message was about Wonmyeongdong and talking about what is meaningful. Okay, so when we think about meaningful, what do we really think about? Okay, and I think one of the things that makes things meaningful when we look at our lives, it either has to do with someone you love, or it has to do with something that is lasting, like forever, right? So when you put all the work and effort in, it's meaningless if it doesn't last. If it's just something that only for that moment, but it's meaningful if it's something that's for something in the future that is eternal. Like that's us living our life of faith. And another one, like the way Sunsim explained, to be meaningful. Like why are the things in Wonmyeongdong so meaningful? And it's because of the special stories and the sentimental value behind it, right? All the rocks and trees, they were given to Sunsim by God, the Holy Spirit, the Holy Son, or, Jesus told them about these rocks and trees by giving revelations, right? Where they're like, hey, I gave this to you. And that's something else that makes something really invaluable. If you get a pen from your dying mother, it becomes valuable. The last thing she gave to you before she died, right? And it's another thing that makes something meaningful is who gave it to you. And it was the Holy Trinity. And when you look at all these things that Sunsim puts into Wonmyeongdong, it is the ultimate meaning in these rocks and trees. Because how many people get gifts from God? How many people get gifts from the Holy Spirit? Like that is an actual gift that is going to be there for the next 1,000 years. And like how many of us would actually be like, oh my gosh, I got this gift from Sunsim? Like that would be something that we'd be so proud of. Because I know that when I go into someone's house and I see like Sunsim's sign on the wall with their name on it, I'm like, dude, that's so crazy. I'm like, I wish I had that. Oh, I wish I had a gift from Sunsim like that too. Now, of course, the greatest gift is salvation itself from God. The greatest gift is the rapture. But when you get these gifts from the Holy Trinity, it's so different. The meaning changes. And what God is telling us is all these gifts that we have in Wonmyeongdong, it's not just for Sunsim, it's for all of us. It's given to every single Providence person. And I liked how the message said, look for your rocks and your trees in Wonmyeongdong according to your individuality and your stories. And Sunsim's like, I wish that you will find rocks and trees that you are especially pleased with and make stories. If you do, then each time you visit Wonmyeongdong, you will see objects you like, right? All these things belong to all of us, and that's why the message God can say to us, it belongs to you. Find your tree. Find your rock. I even remember a time where Sunsim was telling us to pee on a tree one time. I thought it was hilarious, right? But it's like, it's yours. And Some seems like, and when you go to Wolmyeongdong, give glory. As you see all the amazing gifts and stories and everything else, give glory. Talk to the Holy Trinity, talk to Jesus about them. This all belongs to us. And the reason why, one thing that he says, if you want these things in Wolmyeongdong to seem really valuable to you, then put in the dedication and treat it well with all your heart. When you go to Wolmyeongdong, treat them well. And then you'll be overflowing with grace and joy. And it's all going to spring up. And I think it's a great message because we're getting closer and closer to the time of the retreats. And more people are visiting Wolmyeongdong. Like I just heard, like there's an American group that just finished over there in Wolmyeongdong too. And it's something where you look at and say, yeah, as more and more people are now, it's the vacation time. Spend your time well in Wolmyeongdong. Spend that time like it is yours. Right? And some seems like, don't be a tourist. Don't be a traveler looking at Wolmyeongdong. Be the owner. Know the stories. Know the meaning of what is there. An owner looks at things with knowledge. A tourist or a traveler knows nothing and just looks and says, oh, wow, look at that. An owner looks with knowledge. And I think in this way, all of us as the people of Providence, right? And Sunseem's always connecting it to us, like Wolmyeongdong to us. And he says, hey, you too were raised. And you have a story behind you. So don't just brush by. Listen to each other's stories. You'll find that there are stories that soar into the sky. So I'm just like, it's so deep when you think about this too. So God made the objects, so God, think about all the things that God has done in Wolmyeongdong. And, especially this week's Sunday message, Sunseem talked about the 21 different shapes of Wolmyeongdong, the symbolism and such. And Sunseem wants us to know how great this place truly is. And as the owner, he's telling us everything with knowledge. Like he's in his spot. He's in, where he is right now. But even then, he's explaining in detail. Oh, do you know this place here where you have this ridge over here and you have this over here on the left and this is on the right? You'll find a rock that's right in the middle of this. This is a rock and he's telling us everything. He is the owner. He knows everything with knowledge. And he says, I want you too to be that type of person. I don't want it to end with just me. I don't want it to end where I am the only one that knows all the stories and all the things about Wolmyeongdong. But there's going to come a time that I'm not going to be here anymore. And you guys are going to be the ones that are explaining this to the next generation. Right? Like, there's hundreds and hundreds of rocks and trees. And Sunseem is telling us story by story. Well, one of the most famous rocks that when I was in Providence, I don't remember exactly when it was, but the soldier rock, that is a soldier on one side and a smiling face on another, that rock, I was there. Like I was in Providence when that rock was first displayed. And I even forgot about it until it came up and then it's like, oh yeah, I remember that rock. And the way Sensei puts it is, hey, if you want these things, God gives you a rock, God gives you a tree or terrain, only if there's a story, a price, and value to it. And what type of people is God going to give it to? He gives it to someone who is worthy. He gives it to someone who has some merit, like evangelized, managed, prayed, made a story, whatever it is. And, you have to be the owner of that story for God to give it to you. There has to be a will, right? And I was like, yeah, the things that God is giving to us in our life too, he doesn't just give it to us. He's giving it to us because there's something behind it. We're worthy of it. We've got some merit. There's some will in what God is giving to us. And we have to recognize that too. So later on, the message talks about like when we evangelize. We have to evangelize the same way we are buying good things like rocks and trees for Wolmyeongdong. You can't just get any rock. You can't just get any tree, right? And in the same way, it's like, don't evangelize recklessly because it lowers the value and level of providence. Think about what that just says. It lowers the value and level of providence as a whole. And you can kind of see from what happened last year, What is the worldview? Like the opinion, when people see stuff like this, what is their view of providence? You know what I mean? What is their view of us? Is it higher or lower because of these people we recklessly evangelized? Like, I'm not sure about you guys. How many of you guys just like impulsively just buy something that's expensive? No. If you buy something you really like, you think about it, you choose and choose again. But that's just like clothing. That's just like some type of tech. But what about when we bring lives to God? Are we bringing them just really lightly and just saying that, oh, I evangelized, okay, I'm done now? Are we treating God like how we normally act? And the key thing I like what Sunseam says is God will give you precious artworks only if you do things like I do. What does Sunseam do? Man, he goes through like hoops of fire to try and figure out what to give to God, what God really likes, what God really wants. He goes to another level. The way Sunseam does things is so different. And you know that ending of that video was like, if you don't choose properly for God, then you'll get troubled in your heart. And ultimately, these people we evangelize will be shattered on their own because they're weak. And in the end, the evangelist, the one who actually evangelized them, are going to be disappointed. And that's so true. How do you think people feel about if you're the one that evangelized KJS now? If you're the one who evangelized like these other people that have left, how would you really feel? You feel so betrayed. You feel so ashamed because you're the one that brought them. And I think that's something where, we were talking about self-love a little bit before, and the message was like, you also have to realize and feel that you were also called by God preciously to providence. And you're going to realize what rarity of a special artwork you truly are. And I think that's where sometimes we don't realize how rare or how special we are. We don't have that self-love, right? And how do you realize how great or how special and how rare you are? It's about what you take action on. You won't be noticed if you don't do anything. Even if you have talents, but you don't do and show those talents, no one will notice. You will only be noticed if you take action, right? So I think, if you look at even Sunseam, look at his talents, the things that he does, they're only visible because he took action over and over and over and over again. We need to be those that take action to the highest level, right? The best thing is visible only if you take action to the highest, right? And I think that's a huge thing, to the highest. Because if you only take like little action, you can't really show the full display of your talent. We have to take action to the highest, right? We have to find, take action, develop the value of why you're chosen for a reason. There's a reason God and the Holy Spirit brought you to Providence. But if you don't take action, then your fate will change and the destiny of your life will change too. That's just the reality of it. We need to know why we were chosen. But as long as we don't take action, we're not going to know why. And, sometimes people might, a lot of times we're like, oh, but we're going to take action. Oh, it's so difficult, so hard. But you have to also realize is God is a fair and just God, which means what? It means that he is going to reward everyone according to what they've done. Everyone. It's not that they don't have it. They have everything. They're not forgetting. Take action. And when the time comes, God will repay back everyone 100-fold, 1,000-fold. And just because there's trials and persecution, things that happen in 2023 or even happening right now, right? When the time passes, everyone receives their blessing. When the time passes, everyone's going to prosper. And we need to go on with that absolute faith, right? So, don't say things emotionally like God has never given me anything until now. Like, I would say that, yeah, I wish I had a sign from Sunstream. I wish I did. But then I couldn't say that Sunstream never gives me anything. Man, like that's not true. We've been given so much. And I would even say they've given us everything until now. Why? Because the most important thing was given, which was salvation, was the rapture. We've been given everything if you think about it, because once you take the salvation and the rapture out, does it really matter if we get blessed with money or this or that? It doesn't. And I also like this point in the message where son seems like, hey, for your prayers also, pray to the point you will acknowledge that you will acknowledge yourself. This is enough. Right? This is enough. And not just prayer, do it to the point when it comes to evangelism, management, and being faithful. This one part was kind of, this one part that I read, I was like, it's a tough one, but it's understandable. It makes sense. Like whenever you buy something that's good or something that's valuable, you got to pay the high price. Which also means that if you want something that big, you need to pay the price at that level, that high. The reason why we go through these things is because God wants to give us something bigger, right? God will give us the best of what we want. And God is giving to each person appropriately according to their vessels. God gives big things through the head after you've accomplished big merit. And it's because you'll use it for God's history and not make it your own only then, right? And I think it's something that we have to take into consideration is sometimes we're not getting something because we haven't fully paid it off yet. And sometimes some things are that big that we need to fully pay it off, and it's going to take its toll. It's going to be difficult, but at the end of it, it's that much bigger. So we have to be that much more hopeful too. Yeah, there's just so many things that I look at from this message, all the stories he talked about. Remember the story that Sunsi talked about, the back mountain that was burned, right? It was burned black, but then God said there was this pine tree that was burnt black, but God said, don't cut it down. So instead, Sunsi prayed for it and didn't cut it down. And then eventually produced new shoots. The following year came back to life because God and the Holy Spirit said, don't cut it down. And now that's a story. It's a miraculous pine tree, a resurrection pine tree. But Sunstream is so deep, and he's just always is like, and in the same way, take care of even those whose faiths have died in the tribulation by praying for them so they'll come to life. You know? There's another question that Sunstream said, sometimes there's these people that God took care of more than others, but they died easily. And Sunstream's like, there's two reasons why it happens. Number one is they don't take action, even after being cared for. And number two, they fail to live spiritually because they're people who originally live according to their physical nature. And that's something that, we have to look at ourselves too and say, hey, we can't get caught up into that either. And then at the very, very end, Sunstream talks about the mosquito, right? Like trying to catch that mosquito and eventually does. And the proverb that came out at the very, very end is, just as even a mosquito is caught by a person who is awake during the night, evil is also solved by a living person who is awake in faith. Now that's something that we can write a book on, being awake at night. Usually people are sleeping at night. But the night also symbolizes a time of darkness, a time of tribulation, which is happening right now. When we look at the trial that's happening right now too. But even during this time where people are going to say, it's nighttime, it's okay to be asleep. God is like, not now. Don't be asleep now. if we want to get rid of the evil right now, we all have to be awake. Yes, it's going to be tough because we're going to be tired. Yes, it's going to be tough because we're going to be like, oh, I can't keep awake. You got to stay awake. Just like the time where Jesus was in the Garden of Gethsemane and he asked his 3 closest disciples, Peter, James, and John, to pray with me. And they kept falling asleep. And we need to realize this is that time that even though naturally we should be sleeping, we should be awake. And I hope it's something that we will really be able to understand about ourselves too, and know that we have to be those that are awake at this time, so that we can make sure that we can have that we can get rid of the evil too. What a great message, and a lot of moving things that Sunseam talked about, and I hope it's something that you guys really received a lot of grace from also. And if you have anything you want to add, go ahead, write it in there. Would love to hear what you guys want to add also. Okay, so there it is, guys. That is today's Wednesday Message Word Study. Hope it's something that you guys received a lot of grace and inspiration from. If you have any questions or anything else, just let me know. And yeah, let's end it here. And before we get into Until the End with Daniel Baker, let's get into the final music break of the day.
Today I pray unceasingly again. Lord, I am here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. I'll engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. I'll engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. Lord, I am here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. Lord, I am here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. I will engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. I will engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. I will kick all of those Satans away, forces of darkness that steal off my strength and my energy. Casting them off, I will run this history brilliantly. The Satans who hide themselves inside my heart, I will destroy them all. The Satans who cause so many trials, forgot the street of providence. So yesterday, now and forever, I swear I'll eradicate them from my life. Today's supreme, my mission has been accomplished. Lord, I am here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. Lord, I am here praying today. I pray unceasingly again. I will engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. I will engrave only your word into my mind. I'll keep it there. I will kick all of those Satans away, forces of darkness that steal off my strength and my energy. Casting them off, I will run this history brilliantly. The Satans who hide themselves inside my heart, I will destroy them all. The Satans who cause so many trials, forgot the street of providence. So yesterday, now and forever, I swear I'll eradicate them from my life. Today's supreme, my mission has been accomplished. Satans in my heart, destroy them. Satans in providence, destroy them. Satans in my life, destroy them. No matter what, complete this mission. Satans in my heart, destroy them. Satans in providence, destroy them. Satans in my life. shit. The Satans who hide themselves inside my heart, I will destroy them all. Those Satans who cause so many trials for God's street of providence. So yesterday, now and forever, I swear I'll eradicate them from my life. Today is supreme, my mission has been accomplished. The Satans who hide themselves inside my heart, I will destroy them all. Those Satans who cause so many trials for God's street of providence. So yesterday, now and forever, I swear I'll eradicate them from my life. Today is supreme, my mission has been accomplished. Today is supreme, my mission has been accomplished. Today is supreme, my mission has been accomplished.
Okay, so let's get into the final segment of today and for the entire week. And as we look forward to this, of course, we have Daniel Baker doing a great job every single Friday. I hope that you guys are enjoying this too. Please welcome Daniel Baker all the way over there in South Korea with Until the End.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Do It Until the End podcast. I hope everyone has an amazing week with the Trinity. Let's have an amazing week together. Now today I'm going to talk briefly about something really important. This is something that I realized has really improved my mood, but also my ability to see how is my mood changing within my life, within the different situations I have, and it's kind of like a realization, or it helps me realize what kind of situations and if I have any stress, what kind of feelings I'm going through during just regular life, because sometimes it's very hard to realize if you're having one kind of thought or you have a pattern. And if you get into that kind of pattern for a long period of time, it can be very bad for you. So what we need to do is we need to realize and really monitor what our brain is doing, what our subconscious and unconscious is doing, like the results. Like for me, one of the biggest things for me personally is when I'm able to see my mood for like the week. You know, if I see my room and the room is very clean and I keep on, making sure it's very clean and it's very tidy, then I know that there's something, I'm doing pretty well. I have the mental clarity to, clean up my room and make sure that I'm living in a really good environment. And, if I don't have that mental clarity and I have constant mental fatigue, it's very hard for me to do like these small things and make sure everything is clean and everything's tidy. And that's just personally for me, right? Because I'm able to see my environment and realize, and through that, I'm able to realize what my unconscious brain is doing. And, I kind of realize that, my brain's going crazy. Maybe I should really focus on the Trinity more, make sure that maybe I'm listening to the message more, make sure I'm communicating with my family more. What am I stressed about? What are the different things that is stressing me? And through finding these patterns within my life, I'm able to find and make sure to fix that problem. Yeah, that's a big one for me, seeing how clean my room is. Basically, what I'm trying to say today is through different patterns within your life, and it's very easy to get into these patterns. If there's a major shift in these patterns, then you kind of have to sound the alarm and kind of make sure that either you're doing okay mentally, or you're going to have to realize, why did this pattern change, right? And this is something I kind of realized, like, 2-3 weeks, I was like cleaning up my room every day and having a really good time. And then suddenly, it's getting very messy. And I'm like, this is usually not me, right? I don't do this. But I kind of realized that I was getting stressed about some stuff. And I was getting, kind of having some fatigue. And I kind of was like, man, maybe I should take a day off and just take a day off from social media, take a day off and just rest. And that's what I did. I rested, even though I had a pretty difficult couple days or a week, because I was able to realize that pattern what suddenly changed. I was able to make a bigger change. Yeah, so that's all I have for you guys today. I hope everyone can really realize that patterns within our life really matters. And those patterns, when they change, that means like a massive change within your subconscious, and you need to fix it. So that's like the alarm. So I hope everyone really realizes that and can use that in the future. And to everyone who is going until the end, let's walk this path together. Peace out, guys. Bye-bye.
And thank you so much, Daniel, for another wonderful episode of Until the End. Hope you guys really enjoyed it. Make sure you leave a comment for him. Encourage him. He's doing such a wonderful and awesome job for the past couple of years. I hope you guys are really benefiting from it. If there's anything else you want to ask, questions, go ahead, leave it in the comments below. All right? So there it is, guys. That is today's Friday podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Have an amazing and awesome weekend. End the last days of the weekend really well. And we'll see you guys again on Monday on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can